ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نوينا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم، ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. Um, we're continuing our discussion on I think adult number 15, which is to engage in discussion with people and to go into مباحث, right? To go into Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, to go into research or to go into a discussion and research with people and not to go into argumentation. And with that, we are going into a bit of research, a bit of discussion on matters that people tend to, or there are some people, not everybody, some people, and this particular group of people, they tend to be argumentative about, and they tend to present, whatever they present. I won't call it, information or facts. It's just stuff. and you can say opinion, but it's just a lot of very misconstrued, very untrue stuff, right? That people find online, that they hear other people say, right? And then they present it in a very, in a very argumentative way, right? And a lot of people in our zaman, they don't know the response, right, to these things. And so we're going through the response. Right? Very simple, very clear response, right? So we're on 15, we're point number 15, right? I actually really want to get to number 16, which is the people whom we encounter are four types. Right? It's very interesting that number 6 is from the Ghazali, right? It is from Imam Ghazali, right? But you will do 15 first, right? I want to go through a few of the mas'ala and or the masail, and a few of the issues, right? And then if there are specific issues that you want me to go through, like I will go through them. There are many issues that are mentioned in this book, right? And all of the proofs that come, right, from Quran, Hadith, and the actions of the righteous. So the first issue here, right, is basically to define, to understand the entire concept of bid'ah, like ma'na al bid'ah, right? So this is the first. So today we're going to do that, right? So what is bid'ah? The definitions of bid'ah, right? And how do we understand the hadiths that speak about bid'ah, and how do we understand, what is going on in our zaman with regards to, things that are perceived to be innovations, but they are not innovations. Okay, tamam. So bid'ah. So bid'ah, the translation in English would be innovation. All right, innovation, bid'ah. And the translation in English should be the word innovation. I will use the word bid'ah, but maybe I try to use the innovation as well, back and forth, right, so that you can follow. You can follow it clearly, right? Bid'ah and innovation. Tamam. So the definition of bid'ah. Basically, bid'ah by definition, by the language, right? It is, right, to invent something that does not have anything that resembles it from before. Okay? Repeat. To invent something, right? To invent something that does not have anything that resembles it from before. Right? So there was nothing from before that resembled whatever you are inventing, right? Does not have anything that resembles it from before. It is something can refer to something as in the thing, or it can refer to a practice. All right. So something here refers to, it can refer to a physical thing, right? Or it can refer to a practice, right? Or both. Okay, right, tamam. And a clear example, of a bid'ah that happened before the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before his zaman, right, was the introduction of idols around the Kaaba. And there is a clear bid'ah. And of course, there's haram, there is shirk, right? So there was a man and the Rasul cursed him. Right? He existed before the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was the first guy, right, to introduce idol worship around the Kaaba. Right? So Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, he's a monotheist. Right? His son Nabi Ismail is a monotheist. Right? The prophets, right, they were sent to Mecca by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to build the Kaaba. Right? And of course, the descendants of Nabi Ismail alayhi salam, they are on the aqidah of Nabi Ismail and the worship of the one true God. So how did the Arabs from the time of Nabi Ismail, right, being worshippers of the one true God, right, turn into idol worshippers by the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where we know that when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, right, there were already 360 idols around the Kaaba. And so how did they go from being a people of monotheism, right, to a people of polytheism, right? So basically, it happened by one guy. It happened by one guy. And this one guy, I forgot his name right now, but Rasulullah would curse him actually because he began doing it, right? But the rest of them followed, right? So they are not free of blame either, right? They followed, they are to be blamed as well. So this guy, from Mecca, he had traveled on trade and he had gone to Syria, right, Sham. And when he was in Sham, he saw some people worshipping idols, right? And he was interested. He was intrigued by what they were doing. They were worshipping idols, and they were selling their idols. You could actually buy their idols. So he bought an idol, right, from Syria, and he went back to Mecca and he placed his idol in front of the Kaaba. Okay, this is what you would, this falls under what the definition? To invent something that does not have anything that resembles it from before. Means it nothing preceded it. There's nothing from before that resembles what he has just done. Right? Placing an idol in front of the Kaaba. Nobody ever before him has ever done that. There is no basis for what he is doing whatsoever. Right? There is no basis. Okay. There is no principle. There is no basis. There is no likeness of what he is doing. Okay. Right. So he placed the idol there, and the people around them, you say, they are also foolish human beings. Right? They were amazed by the idol. Oh, he was amazed and he was intrigued by it. Right? And then the rest of the people around him, they should have said, what you are doing is an innovation. You can't do this. This is against our aqidah. This is against what the teachings of our father, Nabi Ibrahim, Nabi Ismail. And they should have said that, right? And there were of those who said that. There were of those, to be fair to the Arabs, right? In the time of Rasulullah, there were of those, right, who had the sense, right, to scold him and to say to him, what you're doing is wrong. Right, what you're doing is against what our forefather Ibrahim and Ismail has taught us. This is unacceptable. You can't place something physical like a stone made of stone or wood in front of the Kaaba and call people to pray to it. And it is against our aqidah. Right. But anyway, these people, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, they were amazed by this idol this guy brought back and they began to copy. Okay, subhanallah. And this is exactly in our zaman, Someone does something so idiotic. I'm honestly so foolish with no brains. And you have this bunch of human beings, and now it's like the majority of human beings copying exactly movement for movement. Did you see this is going on online? Like monkey see, monkey do. Literally, hasn't this been going on? And now they call it a trend, right? Oh, the trend. It's literally the most idiotic thing that human beings fall into. Just because someone did it, everyone does it. What's wrong with human beings? Like, really, sometimes you wonder what's wrong with human beings. They can't think on it. Sometimes these trends, they are the most ridiculous things, most ridiculous. You say foolish. It makes you look like a complete. I don't know, complete fool in front of the camera doing God knows what. And may Allah forgive us. May God forgive us, for not using our brains that He gave us. Subhanallah. Yesterday during my Tahawla class in the Jamia University, so Anisa, she was talking exactly about this. She was like, yes, people just, someone begins doing something, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, you see everybody doing it, and then and they're doing the exact same thing, and the exact same thing they are doing it, and now everyone is copying everybody. And it shows it's as if Allah didn't give any human being any brains. Subhanallah. It's so idiotic how the whole world has become. Right? And then she was still doing a lot of commentary on, because yesterday we were doing about the media. Yeah, we were I was studying about the media, right? And she was just saying that some people, like, their entire day they're updating their status. I think it's under what's it called now? This Twitter, the X thing, right? I never go into Twitter anyway. So I don't know how people could just write stuff about yourself the whole day. And then or post story after story after story after story. Like, mashallah, how is your life? Subhanallah, your life revolves around just what I can show on social media. Subhanallah. I mean, this is really alarming, for the human being. So it just shows a lot of brainlessness. I honestly, brainlessness. So she was just saying that, how could someone, like, the whole day, report your entire life? How could you be reporting random stuff about yourself, and place it all online? What's wrong with you? Subhanallah. Actually, I was thinking that we should actually, I was thinking, I wrote it down on the side of my notes, to actually write down and really analyze, like, really analyze what's going on in our world, social media, and what people are doing. And what I mean by analyze is to point it out, pull it out, point it out, right, and begin to ask questions, because many people are doing what they're doing without thinking. So I think it has to be said, it has to be pulled out and questioned. Why do you follow trends? Why is it just because someone did something, you're gonna do it yourself? What's the intention behind it? Like, what are you seeking when you post all these statuses online, right, about yourself? What are you and I really want to do this kind of thing, like, in a way whereby to speak to teenagers, right, to make people stop for a moment, use your brains. I stop for a moment, use the brains that you have, mashallah, may Allah bless you in your brains, right? And think, for Allah's sake, think. Just think to yourself for a while. Right? Subhanallah. But it's not something that just happened now, Zaman. As we can see in the story, it's been going on for hundreds of years, of human beings copying brainlessly, like, other human beings without thinking for a moment. Happens been going on since Nabi Adam's time, right? Since Nabi Adam's time, and thereafter, and thereafter, and thereafter. And that is how human beings fall into the most ridiculous, you say, like, groupthink, right? Groupthink, or group behavior, a very groupish behavior, whereby someone does something, and, oh, look at that, that's so cool, that's so, whatever, and they just go and copy, and then it's like the most, and then the prophets will come and say, what are you guys doing? Stop it. Like Nabi Musa alayhi salam, when he goes to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then Samiri, like, he comes, he's like to people, let's make a cow, and let's make a calf, a golden calf, and let's pray to it. Come on, let's do it. And then everybody's like, yeah, let's do it. And then and then Musa comes back, and then Musa's like, what in the world are you guys doing? And he gets very angry with his people, and to the point he got angry at Nabi Harun alayhi salam. But this is what human beings are. Oh Allah. Someone begins to give a suggestion that is brainless, mindless suggestion, and everybody else, like, yeah, 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 go idea, and then they all begin doing it, and it's the most ridiculous thing. Yeah, Allah. My husband was showing me a video. I'm coming back to this, but my husband showed me a video, I think, recently, about this guy who was saying something on, I think, on TikTok, but he was talking about this trend, this Eid. Okay, I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on my Instagram also. I don't know, I don't even know what the trends are. Like, but this video my husband was showing me. about this trend on Eid. What is the word for it? Basically, like they will video their family, then they do this effect, and there's this background music. They all no, not the alamat trend, because the guy on this video, yeah, yeah, Glambot. What no one is Glambot? I had to go and like Google what is Glambot, and then all this kind of random rubbish stuff appeared on the celebrities. The celebrity is just, why is he bot? Is he like a robot? Okay, never mind. Right, so anyway, this guy, he posted on his TikTok about this glam board thing they were doing for Eid. I think whenever they video their families, and they video the like them posing and posing and posing, and there's a music in the background. And apparently people copy each other so much to the point they copy the same music. Apparently, right? So they copied the same trend, and they copied the exact same music. So this guy, if I can find the video lah. I don't know. My husband was showing it to me. This guy was just saying to people, he's seeing this trend going on, and he's like, yeah, it's a cool trend. He's just a random guy lah. Right? But he said that, he said, have you all ever looked into the lyrics of the song that is being used for this trend? And then he pulled out the lyrics, right, of the song that is being used to, for this trend that so many Muslims are into, right? They're doing this trend, and they're using that music, that lyrics, and then he just flashed the lyrics without reading it out, because it's so filthy, ya Allah. The lyrics like so incredibly filthy, the lyrics, and people are using that song for Hari Raya and for Eid, something that is an occasion and a festivity that is religious. And even in their, of course, you can even argue the entire glam pot thing of how halal it is, right, to display your family like that, on social media, but they do it, and people do it. To have all the women be displayed and stuff like that. Allah. Basically, the lyric was the 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 rap kind of, it's to sound glamorous. I don't know, right? So no one actually said, right, in these lyrics. I no one actually listens to what it said in these lyrics. Like it goes in a rap, right? It goes in a rap. So he exposed the lyrics, and it's like, if you all want to do something like this, he was like, he's a random guy, he's a regular guy, right? If you want to do something like this, I would suggest just do a bit of Googling, as to the lyrics of the song, and find out who's singing it, and see what they're singing about, before you start posting, this song as a background to your family members, showing your family members, and then having this very filthy, this very, very, very filthy song as a background. And then he was like, just keep to alamat songs. Yeah, it's a random guy lah. Right, so I know it's not the alamat trend. I would have to Google what is the alamat trend. I don't know what's the alamat trend. Ya Allah. Ya Allah, our zaman. I think subhanallah, we are going to be like probably, the most interesting zaman. There'll be question on the day of judgment, ya Allah. I think the previous zamans will be like, what in the world this generation have, what are they doing? I mean, can you imagine on the day of judgment? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pulls forward, every generation, and begins to question them, in front of everybody, right? I think our someone's gonna be like, whoa, everybody else is gonna see us, and see like, you all have really interesting things that you guys are doing, subhanallah. Probably it's gonna get worse as we go along. So maybe the next generation is even worse. And as I mentioned before, we are afraid, honestly afraid for Gen Alpha, generation that they grew up as toddlers, from babies, right? Toddlers on the screen. That is Gen Alpha. And we are honestly afraid for them. We have no idea how in the world, right, will their adulthood be, like this generation, subhanallah. Right. Subhanallah. I mean, this is the thing. All these songs, like, why can't they just do? I, Raihan has a Hari Raya song, right? I don't know. Does it? Is there like an eight? I know the English medium they do. They have like Yamun Sa'idun. Is it too not glam? Yamun Farhanun, Yamun Aidun Sa'id. There's that song. It's in Arabic. I know maybe it's not glamorous. You could create a nasheed that sounds glamorous. I don't know. Like, but I mean, I know of nice Eid songs. If you want to put it like behind your family, as a background song. If you really have to, expose your family online and do all this stuff, right? But Subhanallah, this is what he was saying that uh I don't know, I've never heard the song, the Alamak. I didn't I've never heard the Alamak song. So I don't even know. Never mind, خلاص. Ya Allah. So our zaman. Oh, our zaman. Oh, our zaman. Um, but I think we should do more to make people think. We put stuff online and just to get people to come and think. It pleases your brains, or human beings, or Muslims. Kita maksudnya this guy does this, right? And then they were amazed, they followed, and then they began to go and buy their own idol. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But this is is an example of a real hardcore bid'ah. It's bid'ah in its core, right? So they saw this guy bring the idol, the first guy to bring the idol to the Kaaba, right? And they all, wow, look at that idol. Instead of saying this is wrong, there were very few of them actually called the guy out and said this is wrong. This is haram. This goes against what our father Nabi Ibrahim and Nabi Ismail have taught us. You can't do this. But the majority of them went ahead and bought their own idols. Where they were like, oh, they have idol, we want idol too. It's the same story like Nabi Musa story. The Bani Israel, they were just saved from Fir'aun, the sea stood in front of them, they saw all these mu'jizat, all these miracles at the hands of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. They crossed over the sea, to the other side, they travel, they just saw so many things. They saw Fir'aun drown and everything. And then with Nabi Musa in their midst, Nabi Musa alayhi salam, Nabi Harun alayhi salam in their midst, they saw people standing around an idol and worshipping the idol. And they go up to Nabi Musa alayhi salam and they said, oh Musa, make for us an idol like these people have an idol. Oh, Nabi Musa, he got angry. He got so angry with them. I mean, subhanAllah. I mean, you see the story of the Bani Israel, like I am amazed by how calm and collected Nabi Musa is. Right, so even though he did get angry with them, I would have flipped. I would have been like, "What is wrong with you guys? We just went through all that, and you see some people worshiping an idol, and you're like, we want one too." Subhanallah, like Nabi Musa, he just said, I seek protection, like from your ignorance, But of course, he refused to give them an idol. They asked him for an idol. But eventually, when he went to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to speak to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, they went ahead and made their own idol. And these people, they had actually, stolen gold from Pharaoh, the Bani Israel. They had actually taken the gold from Pharaoh, and they had carried the gold with them, across the sea. They had carried Pharaoh's gold with them across the sea. They had stolen the gold, right? And that was the gold that they had, and they melted that gold. I did like a whole, like a huge this amount of gold. They melted that gold when Nabi Musa was away. And Nabi Harun tried to stop them. They refused to listen to Nabi Harun alayhi salam, right? And they melted that gold and they made it into a golden calf. This is the story of the golden calf, right? And they began to worship the golden calf, right? Until Nabi Musa came back, and when Nabi Musa was speaking to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, Allah informed Nabi Musa what's happening downstairs, right? At the bottom of the mountain, and what's happening with these people. And he was like, Ya Allah, what is wrong with them? Subhanallah. And he had to go back down, and the first thing he did was that he threw the tablet. He had the tablet with him. The Torah was on it. Right? He came the commandments. Right? He came down. He grabbed Nabi Harun by his beard so hard, which is why on Greek Isra and Miraj, some saw Nabi Harun alayhi salam. Half his beard was white, half his beard was black. And because the half that was white was the half that Nabi Musa actually grabbed. He grabbed and he pulled Nabi Harun right towards him by his beard. And he was so angry how these people make this idol and pray to this idol. What's wrong? Ya Allah, what's wrong with them? The Nabi in the Quran, Nabi Musa grabbed Nabi Harun by the beard and he pulled him. And Nabi Harun said, "Oh my brother, please don't pull me by my beard. I tried to stop them, but they were gonna kill me. And I didn't want you to say that I split the Bani Israel. I didn't want you to tell me that I disunited them. Right. So Nabi Harun, he tried his best. Right. They were going to kill him, if he tried to stop them. Subhanallah. So it is a bid'ah, this happened. And so the people around people in Mecca, they were amazed by the idol. They all began buying their own idol. Right. And so to the point there were 360 idols around the Kaaba. So it was just, some monkey see, monkey do lah. Someone else began doing it. There is no basis for it. It was never done before. In Mecca, there was the first guy to do it, and everybody else saw it, and they began copying it. This is the bid'ah that is being spoken about in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This kind of bid'ah brings a person to the hellfire, of course, right? Obviously. Okay, so understand this part. Okay, understand this. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go into what Imam Shafi'i said. Imam Shafi'i, he said that innovations are of two types. All right, innovations are of two types. Innovations that are praiseworthy and innovations that are blameworthy. Okay, so Imam Shafi'i said innovations are of two types. Innovations that are the innovation part is actually after tasawwuf. Tasawwuf is before. I mean, if I put in the book order, right? The sound was actually before. I know the innovation is actually after. Okay, so Imam Shafi said innovations are of two types: what is praiseworthy and what is blameworthy. Right. So as for what is praiseworthy, right? As for what is praiseworthy, right? So there are two types. We put two types. Innovations that are of two types. Put out down. Innovations are of two types: praiseworthy and blameworthy. Right. Right. So as for images of two types, praiseworthy, put it up before the bullet. Now, in the vision of two types, praiseworthy and blameworthy, put it down. Right. Put the statement first. Innovations are of two types. Innovations are of two types, praiseworthy and blameworthy. Right. Put the statement down first. Mm, okay. Okay. And so if you're gonna do like a chart or something, right? So innovations are of two types, right? It is praiseworthy and no, you need to rephrase your statement. Innovations are of two types. Just bring it to the side, right? Don't put out a definition. Don't put out a definition, right? Just bring it. Don't have it indented. Um, it's a statement. Right? Innovations are of two types, right? So the and being worthy. You can remove the indentation. Allah. Okay, so praiseworthy and blameworthy. So as for what is praiseworthy, okay, so as for what is praiseworthy, definition So definition of praiseworthy innovations, which I will actually speak about re that scholars of today have given it a different terminology. This is what Imam Shafi'i has said, but scholars of today have given it a different terminology. All right, so just not on the don't do a table. Just write it. So praiseworthy, right, is basically what follows the Quran and Sunnah. So it is based upon Quran and Sunnah. Right? It is based upon Quran and Sunnah and is in line with Quran and Sunnah. Right? So actually, Shua scholars today say that if you look at the first definition of bid'ah, of innovation, which is what is innovated, what is new, what is innovated without anything from before that resembles it, right? Okay, so when with the definition of praiseworthy innovation, it says here what is in line with the Quran and Sunnah, right? That means you are, right? Means it agrees with it. It does not go against it. Does not it's not contrary to the Quran and the Sunnah, right? So scholars say then this is not actually called an innovation, right? Because it does not fall under the first definition. Because the first definition says innovation means like to invent something there's nothing like it from before. So what is in line with the Quran and Sunnah, meaning that it is based. is based on something in the Quran and Sunnah. So therefore, in our zaman right now, there are scholars who have they have rephrased the terminology, and instead of calling it praiseworthy innovation, they call it derived Sunnah. So they have changed the definition. They've changed not the definition, they've changed the terminology. So now praiseworthy innovation, which was something Imam Shafi'i used to say, right, and allowed for it, and in fact praised it, right. Now the scholars of our zaman, because of people misunderstanding the word innovation, right, they now call it a sunnah mustamrita, right, which is derived sunnah, right? Derived sunnah, right? So like it's the sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? Then you take it as a basis, as a starting point, and then you derive other actions, right? From this base, sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? So for example, and let me give you a very clear example, okay? So for example, um, uh, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, like he used to be in his masjid, right? And he would sit right in the masjid, and the Sahaba would come and they would sit around him in a circle, right? And listen to him, right? And learn from him. Right? So in his zaman, something that he did, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, would be to sit down in the masjid, and people would come and sit around him, and they would learn from him, right? They would study, right? So what you're seeing here is a halaqah, like a circle of knowledge. And people come and they will study Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, so time passed, and the Muslim Ummah began to form schools. So if you look at it, the entire formation of school itself is an innovation because Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never actually formed institutions like formal schools, right? He never actually formed schools in his zaman. That is why it is wrong to say that you can't do something the Prophet has never done. It's a wrong statement. There are many things he has never done. The very writing down of the Quran he didn't do. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the Quran in his zaman was not a book. Right? So if people would want to go around crying out saying, you can't do what the Prophet never did, you can't do what the Prophet never did, then say to them, then stop holding the Mus'haf then. The Mus'haf he never did. The Mus'haf itself, he never did. If someone goes around saying that you can't do something the Prophet never did, he never did a lot of things. He's a human being, who lived 1,400 years ago. Of course, there are many things in our zaman that he never did. He only lived for 63 years. Of course, there are many things in his life that he never did. He only lived for a short period of time. And his prophethood was only 23 years. So of course, there were things in his life that were never done. Of course. But he laid out principles. And it's about principles that we live on. It's principles. That's why in fiqh tahawulat, it's one of the sciences that we study in fiqh tahawulat, which is Sunatul Mawaqif, which is prophetic principles, right? And we also learn Sunatul Dalala, which is prophetic indications, where he points to certain things which he did not do, but he's pointing the companions to do it. He's pointing the companions to do it, right? So they were never, formalized schooling in time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? But do you say, oh, you can't make schools? Haram, bid'ah, making schools. No, you say this is a good, innovation to make schools. And you won't say it's an innovation. You say this is actually derived from the Sunnah, but you're extending it into a full system that is structured. Was never done before, but it's good. Khair. It is good. It is good. Same thing with regards to the Quran. So in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, did he command for the Quran to be written? Yes, in his zaman. Right? Every verse in the Quran was written down in front of him, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and checked and double checked by the companions who were there. Right? Every single verse. But it was all on parchments, it was a pieces of leaves on dried skin, on rock, on slabs, It was all on like different things, right? And it was all over the place. In a sense that different companions kept different parts of the Quran. But was it all written in front of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Yes, right? So from here, it can be derived that since Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam commanded the writing down of the Quran in his lifetime, this is indicative, right, to the companions that he is expecting this to be compiled after his death. And if the question comes, why didn't he do it during his lifetime? Why didn't Rasulullah, compile the Quran during his lifetime? Why did it happen after his death? Because the Quran was still being revealed. Right? It was still being revealed. So it's only after his death that you confirm nothing more will be added to the Quran. Right? It makes more sense, right? And so after he dies, then you do the compilation of the Quran, which is what happened immediately. You say now Umar's time, say now Abu Bakr's time, and then Abu Bakr commanded the compilation of the Quran first, and then say now Uthman was the one who commanded writing down the Quran into books. And Sayyidina Uthman was the one who commanded doing that. Right? Is it, and it was this ever done before by the Prophet? Never. It was never done. Right? Is it a good thing? Yes. Did he point to it? Yes. Even the Quran itself pointed to it by calling the Quran a book. The Quran calls itself a book, but there was no book in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It was all pointed to. Right? So there are a lot of things that okay, sorry, I'm not sure if you all heard last statement, long hours in the day. Right? They were off, let's say, for long hours in the day. So usually we have like a battery. Like most households nowadays have a battery, like a huge battery. Not huge, it's quite a big battery. Whereby we charge up the battery when the main is on, right? And then when the main goes off, we use the battery to run our households. Right? But because the main is off so much, the battery doesn't actually get charged up very much. And so the battery runs out. So the battery just ran out. It ran out. The battery ran out. Right? So trying to figure this out. Okay lah, alhamdulillah. But this is the summertime in Tarim. Ya Allah. Okay, tamam. So inshallah we will continue with let me just finish the part about blameworthy bid'ah. Okay, blameworthy bid'ah definition is things that go against the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, blameworthy bid'ah, they are innovations. Blameworthy innovations, they are innovations that go against the Quran and Sunnah. Right, so give the very clear example, of that guy who brought the idol to the Kaaba. Right, so innovations that go against, it has to actually go against, right? The commandment in the Quran, um, uh, the commandment in the Quran from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the believers, whatever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commands you to do, then do it. And whatever he forbids you from, then stay away from it. Right? It's a clear statement whereby what is haram is actually forbidden. Meaning Rasulullah clearly says you can't do this. He clearly says you can't do this. All right. Him, just by him not doing it, is not forbidding. You get it? He has to actually forbid, right? When he says you cannot do that. Right. So there was once, Sahaba, who took some dates and he traded the dates for another type of dates for the same amount, right? And then Rasulullah, no, no, for a lesser amount, he traded some dates with other dates for a lesser amount. Then when Rasulullah heard what he did, he said, "You can't do that. That's riba. That's riba. You can't do that. That's riba. That's riba. That's usury. You can't do that." So he clearly says it. Right? What is forbidden in Islam is proven. You have to prove it's forbidden. Just because there was some that did not do it does not make it forbidden. It just makes it that he didn't do it. That's all. Doesn't make it forbidden. Get me? Right? To be forbidden, to be haram, you have to prove it's haram by him saying you can't do that. Right? Or by being based on the principle that he had said you can't do that. Okay? That's where haram comes from. Right? It is, you have to have dalil, you have to prove that it is haram, you have to prove that it's haram. So by default, things are permissible until proven haram. All right, things are permissible until proven haram. Right. So I mean actions, right? Actions. If you can prove this action is haram, then it's haram. Right. So let me just see the question in my class. Right. So and then I'll go into some examples of praiseworthy bid'ah, or we can use the term of today, which is sunnah mustambita, right, which is derived sunnah. Right, derived sunnah. Right, so it's derived from the actions of Rasulullah. These things have been derived, right, from the actions of Rasulullah. Right, and then what is being spoken about in the hadith against bid'ah refer to the blameworthy bid'ah. Okay, so you understand, Understand that what is being referred to, which is why it is important that you have knowledge, right? So you know what the hadith is talking about. You know what's the reference for the hadith. Mm, all right. So just think. So if there are two types of innovations, right? What about the hadith says? This is the thing about it, okay? You need to understand hadith, okay? To understand hadith, right? Whoever all the guys, no one can be astray. Whomever will praise Allah in sermon and as he deserves to be praised, and he will say, whomever Allah has sent astray, no one can guide, the truest will be from Allah. That's what the khutbah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the evil smells and shadows are newly invented. So again, definition. Newly invented meaning what? Nothing preceded it of its like. Get it? Get it? Right? So people who use this verse, this hadith of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they don't understand definition of bid'ah. They don't understand definition. So newly invented means what? Nothing preceded it of its like. It has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah. All right. Many things. So this is why. So yes, it's a true statement. Newly invented things that have no basis in the Quran and Sunnah. For every newly invented method, it is an innovation. Every innovation is a misguidance. And what does he speak about every innovation? Every blameworthy innovation. Because you need to see this hadith together with another hadith whereby Rasulullah SAW said that whoever begins an action in Islam that is good gets the reward of it and the reward of everyone who does it without their reward decreasing in any way. There's also that hadith. This is why it is important not to go by one hadith and think you understand it from that one hadith. No, you go by many hadiths, then you understand, oh, what he means here is blameworthy innovation. What he actually means here is blameworthy innovation. There has no basis in the Quran and the Sunnah. Well, there's another hadith that speaks about inventing matters, right? They are good, and you get the reward of that matter that you invented, right? And the reward of all those who copied you in that good matter. But what makes things good? Quran and Sunnah. That's why it is labeled as a good innovation. Because why? It is based on Quran and Sunnah. So therefore, it gets a label of good, right? What makes things bad? It goes against Quran and Sunnah. That is why it is called has a label of bad. You get it? Right? So every new implemented method is an innovation. So you need to know terminology. The problem with our people of our Zaman, they don't understand terminology. They don't learn terminology. Right? So they think they understand a statement, but they don't. They don't understand the statement, right? And it's very obvious, is the way language works. So when I say, give me a hand, I don't mean, give me a physical hand. I mean, help me, right? Obviously, in language, you can't just, take things on at face value and see and think that you understand it. No, language is a lot of nuances. It's language. You got to understand how language works. It's a full science in Islam. I have to actually understand alfaz, statements or words, right? So every innovation is misguidance. Every blameworthy innovation is misguidance, and every misguidance is the hellfire. Every blameworthy innovation, right? So understand the hadith, right? Understand the hadith, okay, right? So every meaning what? The word innovation needs to be defined. They don't define it. They don't define it. Okay. So these people they are not studying hadith properly, right? And in fact, by them misunderstanding the hadith, they are saying lies against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And they're saying lies against the companions, against the righteous who have begun matters that was never done in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But these matters are based, right? They are based matters on the Quran and Sunnah, and they are based on the Quran and Sunnah. Right? So nobody can say that these things are wrong. Right? But they are based on Quran and Sunnah. Understand that? Okay. Kita I'm going to start for today. Barakallahu fikum. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha. Anna Allah yarzuquna manafin wa amran khas bismin. Wa la yusur bika wa nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ila arwahi mu'alimina wa shaykhina. وذوي الحق علينا وإلى حاضر النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.